The auction ended. Only the untamable alien girl remained, but one human paid for her. Ryan Stone swirled the amber liquid in his glass, watching the underground auction through half-lidded eyes. The grimy marketplace on Dargan was exactly what you'd expect from the ass end of civilized space, a collection of the galaxy's most desperate sellers and its most depraved buyers. "Final lot of the day," bellowed the auctioneer, a bulbous Graxian with skin like melted candle wax. "A rare specimen from the outer reaches." Ryan sighed, ready to leave. His crew of mercenaries was waiting back at the ship, and he'd only stopped by on a whim. Then they dragged her out. She had emerald green skin that seemed to shimmer even under the harsh lighting. Thick silvery hair cascaded down her back, contrasting with the torn sand-colored dress they'd forced her into. But it was her eyes that caught Ryan's attention, icy blue and filled with a defiance that made something stir in his chest. "A Verdanti female," the auctioneer announced. "Rare outside their home system. Young, strong, and," he paused for effect, "trainable." The crowd of aliens chuckled appreciatively, but Ryan noticed how the girl's jaw clenched. She wasn't broken, not even close. A wealthy Krell merchant approached, his reptilian features twisting into what passed for a smile in his species. "Let me see the merchandise," he demanded, reaching a scaled hand toward her face. What happened next sent the crowd into chaos. The girl lunged forward, her teeth sinking into the Krell's finger. There was a sickening crunch, and the merchant reeled back, screaming as a dark blood spurted from his hand. "My finger! She bit off my fucking finger!" The auctioneer backhanded her hard enough to send her sprawling. "Savage bitch!" He spat, then turned to the horrified crowd. "My apologies, gentlemen. This one clearly needs more conditioning." "She's not worth a single coin," shouted someone from the back. The auctioneer's face darkened. "Perhaps you're right. Maybe she'd be better entertainment in the predator pits." He snapped his fingers and two guards moved toward her. Ryan found himself standing before he'd made a conscious decision. "I'll take her," he said, his voice cutting through the commotion. The room fell silent. The auctioneer blinked his three eyes in confusion. "You… what?" "I said I'll take her." Ryan tossed a credit chip onto the stage. "Minimum bid, right?" The Graxian's face contorted with rage. He'd clearly been looking forward to watching the girl torn apart. "The merchandise has proven defective." "The market laws are clear," Ryan interrupted. "You put her up for auction. I made a bid. No one outbid me. She's mine." The auctioneer looked like he might argue further, but market law was sacred even in this hellhole. Breaking it would mean no one would trust him again. "Fine," he spat. "Take the savage. Don't come crying when she kills you in your sleep." Ryan approached the stage as the guards roughly pulled the girl to her feet. For the first time, their eyes met directly. There was no gratitude there, only cold assessment. "You might as well kill me now," she said, her voice surprisingly melodic despite the venom in her words. "I'll never be your painted pet." Ryan couldn't help the slight smile that tugged at his lips. "All I want is someone to scrub my ship. It's filthy, and my crew's too lazy to do it properly." She blinked, clearly not expecting that response. "Fair warning, though," he continued. "Your attitude won't sit well with the rest of them. At least not at first." He shrugged. "But given time, you might find common ground." "I doubt that," she replied, but some of the tension had left her shoulders. Ryan turned to the auctioneer. "We done here?" The Graxian thrust a control chip at him. "Collar controls. Shock, track, kill. Use them liberally." Ryan pocketed the chip without looking at it and gestured for the girl to follow him. As they walked through the marketplace, he could feel the weight of stares on his back. "You have a name?" he asked, not looking back. There was a pause before she answered. "Kiona." "Ryan Stone, captain of the Nomad." "A human," she said, and he couldn't tell if it was disgust or curiosity in her voice. "Last I checked." He stopped at a vendor and purchased a cloak, tossing it to her. "Put this on. Dargan isn't known for its hospitality, especially to your kind." Kiona caught the garment but made no move to put it on. "Why did you buy me?" Ryan considered the question. The truth was, he wasn't entirely sure himself. Yeah, something about her defiance, perhaps? Or maybe he was just getting soft in his old age. "Let's just say I've got a soft spot for lost causes," he finally replied. "Now put on the damn cloak, before someone decides to take what they think is mine. She hesitated for another moment before wrapping the cloak around her shoulders. I'm not yours, she said quietly. I'm not anyone's. Ryan nodded. Fair enough. But until we're off this rock, it might be safer if others think differently. As they continued toward the spaceport, Ryan found himself wondering if he'd made a terrible mistake. His crew wasn't going to be happy about this. Hell, he wasn't sure he was happy about it either. But as he glanced at the fierce determination in Kiona's eyes, he couldn't bring himself to regret his decision. Not yet, anyway. This way, Ryan said, guiding Kiona through Dargan's winding marketplace. The spaceport loomed ahead, a collection of rusted landing pads and makeshift hangars. Kiona walked beside him, her posture rigid. Every few steps, she glanced over her shoulder, scanning the crowd. Ryan noticed, but said nothing. He'd been expecting this. When they reached a narrow alley between two vendor stalls, Kiona bolted. One moment she was beside him, the next she was sprinting away, silver hair streaming behind her like a comet's tail. Shit, Ryan muttered, breaking into a run. He weaved through startled aliens, keeping the flash of her cloak in sight. Kiona, stop. She was fast, faster than he'd anticipated. Her emerald skin made her easy to track in the crowd, but her agility gave her an edge as she slipped through gaps too narrow for his broader frame. The chase led them deeper into Dargan's underbelly. The marketplace's relative order gave way to cramped passages where even the dim lighting couldn't hide the desperation etched into every surface. Ryan caught a glimpse of silver disappearing around a corner. He followed only to find himself in a dead-end alley. Empty. Clever girl, he murmured, scanning the walls. A movement above caught his eye. Kiona was scaling the side of a building, using protruding pipes as handholds. You're making a mistake, he called up to her. This isn't a place for someone alone. She paused, looking down at him with those ice-blue eyes. I've survived worse than this cesspool. No doubt, but why struggle when you don't have to? He spread his hands. I'm offering you passage off this rock, food, safety. In exchange for what? Servitude? Your bed? The bitterness in her voice was palpable. Ryan shook his head. Just help around the ship. As for my bed, he shrugged. That's not part of any deal. Something in his tone made her hesitate. In that moment of indecision, a screech echoed from the rooftop above her. A winged creature with razor-sharp talons swooped down, aiming for Kiona's exposed neck. Ryan's hand moved instantly to his holster. His blaster fired, the energy bolt striking the creature mid-dive. It fell past Kiona, landing with a wet thud at Ryan's feet. Roof scavengers, he explained, holstering his weapon. They hunt in packs. As if summoned by his words, more screeches sounded from above. Kiona glanced up, then back at Ryan. With surprising grace, she pushed off from the wall, landing in a crouch beside him. Fine, she said, straightening. But this changes nothing, Ryan nodded. Let's go before more show up. They moved quickly through the back alleys, Ryan leading the way with confident strides. Kiona kept pace, no longer trying to escape but maintaining a wary distance. You're shooting, she said after a while. It was precise. Former Alliance military, Ryan replied. Old habits. You fought in the border wars? Ryan's jaw tightened. Among others. She studied him with new interest. Humans have a reputation for being effective in combat. Is that what they call it? A hint of bitterness crept into his voice. Most species just call us violent. Violence has its uses, Kiona said quietly. Sometimes it's the only language oppressors understand. Ryan glanced at her, surprised by the vehemence in her tone. Sounds like you speak from experience. Before she could respond, they emerged from the alley onto a broader thoroughfare leading to the spaceport. The Nomad was visible in the distance, a mid-sized cruiser with sleek lines despite the patches of mismatched hull plating. That's your ship? Kiona asked, unable to hide her surprise. Don't let the exterior fool you. She's got it where it counts. As they approached the landing pad, Ryan noticed Kiona's steps slowing. Having second thoughts? He asked. Your crew, what are they like? Complicated, Ryan admitted. Loyal to credits first, me second. They're not going to roll out the welcome mat. Because I'm Verdanti. Because you're an unexpected expense who can't pull her weight yet. He paused. The Verdanti thing won't help either. Kiona's expression hardened. I'm used to hostility. I don't doubt it. Ryan's gaze lingered on her face longer than necessary. Despite the dirt and bruises, there was a striking beauty to her features, proud and fierce. She caught him looking and raised an eyebrow. See something interesting, Captain? The challenge in her voice sent an unexpected heat through him. Just wondering what I've gotten myself into. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Nothing you can handle, I'm sure. The air between them seemed to charge with something neither was ready to acknowledge. Ryan cleared his throat and gestured toward the ship. After you. As they walked up the boarding ramp, Kiona's shoulder brushed against his arm. The brief contact sent a jolt through Ryan that had nothing to do with the static electricity common on Dargoon. Captain! A gruff voice called from inside. About damn time. We were about to... The words cut off as a hulking Braxian stepped into view, his four eyes widening at the sight of Kiona. What the hell is this? Crew, meet Kiona, Ryan said, stepping forward. Our new cleaning specialist. The Braxian's upper lip curled. You bought a fucking Verdante? Behind him, more of the crew appeared, a lanky Toran engineer, a pair of Mavonian twins, and a human woman with a scar running down one cheek. None of them looked pleased. A Verdante? The human woman with the scar stepped forward, hand resting on her holstered blaster. Captain, have you lost your mind? Their kind has been nothing but trouble for border traders. Stand down, Mara, Ryan ordered, his voice calm but carrying unmistakable authority. My ship, my decision. The Braxian snorted, his four eyes blinking in sequence. Your decision might get us all killed, Stone. Or worse, broke. Kiona stood her ground, chin raised despite being surrounded by hostile stares. I can pull my weight, she said, addressing the crew directly. I'm not here to cause trouble. Says the Verdante, who just bit off a Krell's finger, Mara retorted. Ryan's eyebrows shot up as he turned to Kiona. News travels fast. Faster than you think, came a new voice from the ship's communication system. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the cargo bay, showing a Toran with cybernetic implants where his left eye should be. We've got a problem, Captain. What is it, Dex? That Krell merchant your new friend maimed? Name's Varrock Thule, major player in the Outer Rim trade routes. The hologram expanded to show a bounty notice. He's offering 50,000 credits for the Verdante, alive preferably, dead if necessary. The crew exchanged glances. And another 50 for the human scum who interfered with his purchase, Tex added. Ryan cursed under his breath. How long until this hits every bounty hunter's feed? Already has. I'd give us an hour, maybe less before they start showing up. The Braxian Cord stepped forward. Simple solution. We hand her over, split the bounty, and move on. Not happening, Ryan said flatly. Why the hell not? Mara demanded. She's not crew. She's not even a paying passenger. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Because I said so. Anyone who doesn't like it can take their share of our last job and find another ship. The silence that followed was electric. Kiona watched the standoff with growing tension, acutely aware that her fate hung in the balance of this power struggle. Finally, one of the Mavonian twins spoke up. The captain's never steered us wrong before, he said, his voice melodic despite his reluctance. If he sees something in this Verdante, perhaps we should trust his judgment. Thank you, Terran, Ryan said. Dex, prep for immediate departure. Cord, secure the cargo. Mara, run perimeter checks. I want us off this rock in 20 minutes. The crew dispersed, still grumbling, but following orders. Ryan turned to Kiona, who was watching him with a new intensity. You didn't have to do that, she said quietly. Yeah, I did. He gestured for her to follow him. Come on, you'll need quarters and a change of clothes. As they moved through the ship's corridors, Kiona took in her surroundings with keen interest. The Nomad was a patchwork of different technologies, some cutting edge, others clearly salvage. But everything was meticulously maintained. Your crew doesn't seem thrilled with your leadership style, she observed. Ryan shrugged. They'll get over it. Especially once they see what you can do. And what exactly do you think I can do, Captain? He stopped at a door and pressed his palm to the scanner. That's what I'm curious to find out. The door slid open to reveal modest quarters, a bunk, storage compartments, and a small personal hygiene unit. It's not much, but it's private. Kiona stepped inside, running her fingers along the edge of the bunk. Better than a cage. There are clothes in the storage unit. When you're ready, meet me on the bridge. He turned to leave but paused in the doorway. And Kiona, don't make me regret this. Their eyes met and something unspoken passed between them. A challenge, an acknowledgement, perhaps even the first fragile thread of trust. I won't, she replied. 20 minutes later, the Nomad broke atmosphere, leaving Dargan behind. On the bridge, Ryan watched the planet shrink in the view screen while Dex plotted a course through the nearest jump point. We've got company, Mara announced from the tactical station. 2 pursuit craft just launched from the spaceport. Ryan leaned forward. Bounty hunters already? Looks like it. Heavily armed too. Evasive maneuvers. Terran, Varen, man the defense systems. The Mavonian twins moved in perfect synchronization to their stations. The ship banked sharply, accelerating toward the jump point. They're gaining, Cord growled from his position at the engineering console. Engines are at maximum, but we're still carrying too much weight from that last cargo run. We need to lighten the load, Mara suggested, throwing a pointed look toward the door where Kiona had just appeared. Dressed in a fitted jumpsuit that accentuated her lithe form, Kiona ignored the comment and moved directly to Ryan's side. Your stabilizers are misaligned, she said without preamble. That's why you're losing acceleration. The bridge fell silent. And you know this how? Cord demanded. I can feel it in the deck vibrations. Verdanti have sensitive proprioception. We can detect mechanical imbalances through touch. She turned to Ryan. Let me help. Ryan studied her for a moment and then nodded. Cord, take her to engineering. If she can fix it, do whatever she says. The Braxian looked like he wanted to argue, but grudgingly gestured for Kiona to follow him. Captain, Mara protested, you're trusting our lives to a slave we picked up an hour ago. Former slave, Ryan corrected. And yes, I am. Minutes later, the ship's vibrations subtly changed. The engine's pitch deepened, and their speed increased noticeably. Whatever she did, it's working, Dex reported. We've gained a 15% efficiency boost. Ryan allowed himself a small smile. Plot a course for the Helios Nebula. We'll lose them in the radiation belt. As the Nomad outpaced its pursuers and prepared to jump, Ryan felt a presence beside him. Kiona had returned to the bridge, a smudge of engine grease on her cheek. Not bad for a cleaning specialist, he said quietly. Her lips curved into the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. I never said cleaning was my only skill, Captain. The look they exchanged sent a current of awareness through the bridge that had nothing to do with the ship's electrical systems. Even Mara noticed, her eyebrows rising as she glanced between them. Jump in 3, 2, 1, Dex announced. The stars stretched into lines and the Nomad vanished into hyperspace, leaving their pursuers and Dargan far behind. The Helios Nebula stretched across the view screen like a luminous tapestry, swirls of crimson and gold dust illuminated by the light of dying stars. It was beautiful, deadly, and the perfect hiding place. Radiation levels are higher than expected, Dex reported, his cybernetic eye whirring as it processed data. We can survive it, but our systems are already showing strain. Ryan nodded, studying the nebula's shifting patterns. How long can we stay? 48 hours maximum. After that, the radiation will start affecting the life support systems. Should be long enough for the initial hunt to die down, Ryan decided. Set us on a minimal power configuration. Essential systems only. As the crew dispersed to their stations, Ryan found Kiona still at his side, her gaze fixed on the nebula's hypnotic dance. It's beautiful, she murmured. On Verdane, we have stories about places like this. Cosmic gardens where the spirits of stars go to be reborn. Ryan studied her profile, struck by how the nebula's light played across her emerald skin, making it shimmer with hidden depths. Poetic for a people known for their mechanical aptitude. Her lips curved slightly. We contain multitudes, Captain, just like humans. Their eyes met, and Ryan felt the same electric current from before. Stronger now, harder to ignore. He cleared his throat. I should check the engine room. The radiation might be affecting the stabilizers you fixed. I'll come with you, she offered. I can feel if something's off. They walked in companionable silence through the ship's corridors. The reduced power had dimmed the lighting, casting everything in soft shadows. Occasionally, their shoulders would brush, each contact sending a ripple of awareness through Ryan. In the engine room, Kiona immediately placed her palms against the main drive housing, closing her eyes in concentration. Ryan watched, fascinated by the way she seemed to commune with the machinery. "There's a harmonic imbalance," she said after a moment. "The radiation is causing microfluctuations in the power grid." Ryan moved to the control panel. "Can we compensate?" "Yes, but I'll need to adjust the frequency manually." She glanced at him. "It requires a delicate touch. Something tells me you have that in abundance." Her eyes widened slightly at his tone, and a deeper emerald flush spread across her cheeks. "When necessary," she replied, her voice softer than before. They worked together, making the adjustments, their hands occasionally meeting over controls. Each touch lingered a little longer than strictly necessary. The air between them grew thick with unspoken tension. "Your crew is warming to me," Kiona said, breaking the silence. "Even Mara stopped glaring when I passed her in the corridor." Ryan smiled. "They respect competence. You've shown plenty of that." "Is that what you respect too, Captain?" "Competence?" The question hung between them, loaded with meaning. Ryan stepped closer, close enough to catch the subtle scent of her skin, something like cinnamon and ozone. "Among other qualities," he admitted. Kiona didn't back away. "Such as courage, intelligence, the ability to bite off a Krell's finger when the situation calls for it." She laughed, the sound rich and unexpected. "That was impulsive." "Sometimes impulses are worth following," Ryan said, his voice dropping lower. The ship suddenly lurched, throwing them against each other. Ryan's arms instinctively wrapped around Kiona to steady her. The lights flickered, then dimmed further. "Captain, to the bridge," Cord's voice crackled over the comm. "We've got problems." Ryan reluctantly released Kiona, though his hands lingered at her waist. "Duty calls?" On the bridge, they found the crew scrambling between stations. The view screen showed a section of the nebula roiling with energy discharges. "Radiation surge," Dex explained. "It's playing havoc with our systems. Navigation's down, communications are spotty, and life support is operating at 70% capacity." "Can we move to a safer position?" Ryan asked. Cord shook his massive head. "Engines are responding, but without navigation, we're flying blind." "I can guide us," Kiona stepped forward. "Verdante can sense energy patterns. The nebula's currents are like rivers. I can feel where they're flowing and where they're dangerous." The crew exchanged skeptical glances. "It's our best option," Ryan decided. "Cord, give her access to the helm." The Braxian reluctantly moved aside. Kiona took the controls, her fingers dancing across the interface with surprising confidence. The ship began to move, gently at first, then with increasing purpose. "There," she said after several tense minutes. "This pocket is more stable. The radiation levels are lower." Dex confirmed her assessment. "She's right. We've got a 20% drop in radiation exposure." A collective sigh of relief swept through the bridge. Ryan squeezed Kiona's shoulder in silent thanks, his touch lingering. "We should dock at Helios Station once we leave the nebula," Mara suggested. "We need supplies, and the radiation damage requires parts we don't have on board." Ryan frowned. "Helios Station is risky. It's a major trading hub, which means it's the last place bounty hunters would expect us to go," Mara countered. "Plus, my contact there can get us what we need without asking questions." After a moment's consideration, Ryan nodded. "All right, we'll make a quick stop. Minimal exposure, essential supplies only." As the crew dispersed once more, Ryan found himself alone with Kiona at the helm. The nebula's glow bathed them in amber light, creating an intimate bubble amid the crisis. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You've saved our asses twice now." Kiona's fingers brushed against his on the console. "Consider it payment for my freedom." "Is that how you see it? A transaction?" She met his gaze, her ice blue eyes searching his. "I'm not sure what I see anymore, Ryan. Everything's changed so quickly." The use of his first name, rather than Captain, didn't escape his notice, nor did the way her voice caressed it. "For what it's worth," he said, I'm glad I found you in that auction. Found me? Or bought me? There was no accusation in her tone, only genuine curiosity. Ryan leaned closer. Rescued you, though I'm beginning to think it might be the other way around. The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility. Then the ship's systems beeped, breaking the spell. We should get some rest, Ryan said reluctantly. Tomorrow will be challenging. Kiona nodded, rising from the helm. At the doorway, she paused and looked back at him. Your quarters are mine, Captain. The invitation was unmistakable. Ryan felt his pulse quicken. Yours are closer, he replied, his voice rough with desire. Her smile was both invitation and promise as she turned and walked away, leaving Ryan to follow, which he did without hesitation. Morning on the Nomad arrived with the artificial cycle of lights brightening in the corridors. Ryan woke to the unfamiliar sensation of emerald skin against his own. Kiona slept peacefully beside him, silver hair splayed across the pillow like liquid moonlight. The night had been a revelation. Verdanti intimacy rituals were both familiar and fascinatingly alien. Moments of tenderness interspersed with surprising strength. They discovered each other's bodies with the wonder of explorers charting unknown territory, finding unexpected pleasure in their differences. Ryan traced a finger along the intricate patterns that appeared on Kiona's skin when she was aroused. Bioluminescent markings that had pulsed with increasing brightness as their passion grew. They'd faded now, but remained faintly visible, like a memory etched on her emerald flesh. Her eyes fluttered open, ice blue irises focusing on his face. You're staring, she murmured. Hard not to, he admitted. She stretched languidly, unself-conscious in her nudity. I didn't expect humans to be so thorough in their attentions. Ryan chuckled. Is that a complaint? Quite the opposite, her fingers trailed down his chest. On Verdun, physical union is primarily for reproduction. Pleasure is considered a fortunate side effect. Sounds efficient. It is. She propped herself up on one elbow. But I prefer your way. The ship's comm system interrupted their moment. Captain to the bridge, Dex announced. We're approaching Helios Station. Reality intruded like a cold shower. Ryan sighed and sat up. Duty calls? Kiona caught his wrist as he moved to rise. Ryan, what happens now? Between us? The vulnerability in her question caught him off guard. This fierce woman who'd bitten off a Krell's finger, who'd navigated them through a lethal nebula, now looked at him with uncertainty. We figure it out together, he said, bringing her hand to his lips, one step at a time. Her smile was worth every credit he'd spent at that auction. On the bridge, the crew pretended not to notice their captain's unusually relaxed demeanor or the way Kiona stood slightly closer to him than necessary. Only Mara raised an eyebrow, a knowing smirk playing at the corner of her scarred mouth. Helios Station, dead ahead, Dex reported. I'm detecting heavy traffic. Looks like a trade summit is underway. Perfect cover, Cord rumbled. We'll blend right in. Ryan frowned at the station's schematics. Maybe, but we'll need to be careful. Mara, contact your supplier. Arrange delivery to Docking Bay 47. It's on the station's far side, away from the main concourse. Already done, Captain, Mara replied. They'll meet us in 2 hours. Good. Cord, Tarrant, Vereen, you'll handle the cargo transfer. Dex stays with the ship. Mara, Kiona, and I will acquire the specialized parts we need. Kiona looked surprised at being included. Is that wise? I'm rather noticeable. Nothing a hooded cloak and some cosmetics won't fix, Mara suggested. I've got some skin pigment that could temporarily mask your color. Ryan nodded. Do it. I want us in and out in 3 hours max. As they prepared to dock, Kiona pulled Ryan aside. There's something you should know about Verdanti physiology, she said quietly. Our bioluminescence, it's not just an arousal response. Strong emotions of any kind can trigger it. Ryan understood her concern immediately. Including fear or stress? She nodded. If we encounter trouble, I might literally start glowing. Then we'll make sure that doesn't happen. He squeezed her hand reassuringly. Stay close to me. Helios Station was a sprawling complex of interconnected modules, each bustling with diverse life forms from across the sector. Disguised with Mara's pigments and a hooded cloak, Kiona blended in reasonably well, though she kept her head down as they navigated the crowded corridors. Mara's contact is in the tech district, Ryan murmured, guiding them through a marketplace teeming with traders. 2 levels down. As they passed a news terminal, a familiar face appeared on the screen. The Krell merchant, Varrock Thule, his reptilian features twisted in rage as he announced an increased bounty for the capture of the Verdante thief and her human accomplice. Thief? Kiona whispered. I stole nothing from him except his dignity. And a finger, Mara added dryly. Ryan hushed them both as a pair of station security officers passed nearby. Once the officers were out of earshot, he led them toward a service elevator. Something's not right, he said. That bounty is excessive for a simple assault. Thul's acting like you stole the family jewels. Verdante are known for our technological innovations, Kiona replied thoughtfully. Perhaps he believes I possess knowledge worth more than my market value as a slave. The elevator doors opened to reveal the tech district, a labyrinth of shops selling everything from standard ship components to experimental prototypes. Mara led them to a nondescript storefront with shuttered windows. Wait here, she instructed, disappearing inside. Left alone with Kiona, Ryan noticed her fidgeting with the edge of her cloak. You okay? This place, it reminds me of home, she admitted. Before the raids? Ryan wanted to ask more, but Mara emerged from the shop, followed by a thin Tauren carrying a case. Got everything we need, she announced. Let's head back. They were halfway to the elevator when Ryan spotted them. 3 figures moving with too much purpose through the crowd. Bounty hunters, their eyes scanning faces with predatory focus. Change of plans, he murmured. We're taking the long way back. He steered them into a side passage, his hand resting protectively at the small of Kiona's back. The passage opened into a quieter section of the station, a residential area with fewer people. They're following, Mara warned, glancing back. Ryan cursed under his breath. Split up. Mara, take the parts back to the ship. Kiona and I will create a diversion. Mara looked like she wanted to argue but nodded sharply. Don't get killed. Paperwork's a bitch. As she disappeared around a corner, Ryan pulled Kiona into an alcove. We need to blend in, he said urgently. Act like we belong. Without warning, he pressed her against the wall, his body shielding hers from view as he brought his lips to hers in a passionate kiss. Kiona stiffened in surprise, then melted against him, her arms winding around his neck. The bounty hunters passed by, their eyes sliding over the couple, locked in an intimate embrace. When they were gone, Ryan pulled back slightly, his breath coming faster. Sorry about that, he murmured, not sounding sorry at all. Kiona's skin had begun to glow faintly beneath the pigment, patterns swirling across her cheeks. Human methods of evasion are surprisingly effective, she whispered. Ryan grinned. We have our moments. A commotion from the main corridor interrupted them. Shouts and the distinctive sound of blaster fire echoed through the station. Time to go, Ryan said, taking her hand. They ran, keeping to the shadows as chaos erupted around them. Somehow, their cover had been blown. The station's security alerts blared, announcing a lockdown. Ryan, Kiona gasped as they paused to catch their breath. Look. On a nearby screen, security footage showed Varrock Thule himself striding through the station, flanked by armed guards. The Krell's remaining fingers clutched a strange device that pulsed with energy. He's tracking me, Kiona realized, horror dawning in her eyes. That's a Verdante biosignature scanner. It can detect our unique energy patterns through any disguise. Ryan's mind raced. They were cut off from the direct route to the ship, and now they couldn't hide. There was only one option left. Then we stop running, he decided, and start fighting. Fighting is your solution? Kiona whispered, her eyes wide. There must be dozens of them. Ryan's lips quirked into that confident half-smile she was beginning to adore. Not fighting, outsmarting. Humans have a talent for turning disadvantages into strengths. He tapped his comm unit. Dex, you reading me? Loud and clear, Captain, came the immediate response. We've got problems. Station security's locked down all docking bays. I need a distraction. Something big enough to draw attention away from the residential sector. There was a pause. How big are we talking? Big enough to make Thule think we're trying to escape through the main concourse. I can trigger the fire suppression systems in the commercial district, Dex offered. That'll create some chaos. Do it, and have Cord bring the ship to external docking port E-17. We'll meet you there in 20 minutes. Ryan turned to Kiona, his expression serious. I need to know exactly what Thul wants from you. No more guessing. Kiona hesitated, then nodded. During my captivity, I overheard Thul discussing a Verdanti navigation system, one that can map stable routes through radiation storms and nebula fields. Like how you guided us through the Helios Nebula. Yes, but on a much larger scale. My people developed the technology but kept it secret. It would give anyone who possessed it a significant advantage in contested space. And Thul thinks you have access to this technology? Not just access. Kiona's voice dropped. I helped design it. That's why he paid so much for me at the auction. I wasn't just any Verdanti. I was a specific acquisition. Ryan's eyes widened as the pieces fell into place. That's why the bounty is so high. He's not after revenge, he's after the navigation system. Which I would never give him, Kiona said fiercely. My people were betrayed once before by those seeking our technology. I won't let it happen again. Ryan studied her face, seeing the determination there. Then we use his obsession against him. Come on. They moved through the residential sector, avoiding the main corridors. As they reached a maintenance junction, alarms blared throughout the station. Dex's distraction, Ryan explained, guiding her into a service tunnel. Now for ours. He pulled out a small device and handed it to Kiona. This is a signal amplifier. If Thul is using a Verdanti biosignature scanner, this will make your signature appear to be coming from multiple locations. Kiona examined the device with professional interest. Clever, but it needs to be calibrated to my specific frequency. Can you do it? Her fingers were already dancing across the device's interface. Of course, but I'll need to remove the pigment from my skin. And the scanner works by detecting our natural bioluminescence. Ryan kept watch while Kiona wiped away Mara's cosmetics, revealing her true emerald complexion. As the pigment came off, the patterns on her skin became visible again. Faint swirls that reminded Ryan of their night together. You're glowing, he observed softly. Kiona glanced up, a shy smile playing at her lips. Strong emotions, remember? Their eyes held for a moment, a world of unspoken feelings passing between them. Then Kiona returned to the amplifier, making final adjustments. Done, she announced. When activated, it will project my signature to 3 different locations on the station. Ryan took the device and placed it on a maintenance drone. Perfect. This little guy will take a tour of the station while we head for the extraction point. As they prepared to move out, Kiona suddenly caught Ryan's arm. Wait, there's something else you should know. Her expression was so serious that Ryan felt a flutter of concern. What is it? Last night, what happened between us? She seemed to struggle for words. In Verdanti culture, such intimacy is rare outside of formal pair bonding. Ryan blinked, processing the implications. Are you saying we're married? Not exactly, but among my people, it would be considered a significant commitment. She looked away. I should have told you before. Ryan gently turned her face back to his. Would you have chosen differently if you had? The vulnerability in her ice blue eyes nearly took his breath away. No, she whispered. Would you? Instead of answering, Ryan kissed her, a tender affirmation that needed no words. When they parted, Kiona's skin was glowing brighter than before, the patterns pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. We should go, she said, though she made no move to step away from him. Ryan activated the drone, sending it scuttling away with Kiona's biosignature amplifier. Almost immediately, they heard shouts from a nearby corridor as Thul's hunters detected the multiple signals. Now, Ryan said, taking her hand. They raced through the service tunnels, emerging near a maintenance airlock that would give them access to the external docking ports. As they rounded the final corner, they came face to face with Varrock Thul himself. The Krell merchant stood blocking their path, flanked by 2 armed guards. His reptilian face contorted into what might have been a smile, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. The human who stole my property, he hissed, his remaining fingers flexing around the biosignature scanner, and the Verdanti engineer who owes me a finger. Ryan stepped protectively in front of Kiona. She owes you nothing, Thul. She's not property. She's a free woman. Thul's laugh was like stones grinding together. Free? She is worth millions in technology rights alone. Did she tell you that? Did she mention how her navigation system could control the trade routes of an entire sector? I know exactly what she's worth, Ryan replied evenly. That's why I'm not letting you take her. The Krell's eyes narrowed. You humans and your primitive notions of freedom, always fighting for lost causes. Not lost, Ryan corrected, just untamed. Thul raised his weapon. Enough talk. Step aside, human, or die where you stand. Ryan didn't move. You know what I've noticed about you, Thul? You're so focused on what's in front of you that you never watch your back. The Krell frowned, then stiffened as the cold barrel of a blaster pressed against his skull. Captain's right, Mara said, emerging from the shadows behind Thul. It's a serious tactical flaw. Cord and the Mavonian twins appeared behind the guards, weapons drawn. The balance of power shifted in an instant. You're outnumbered, Thul, Ryan said calmly. Drop your weapons and call off your hunters. The Krell's face twisted with rage. This isn't over, human. The bounty on your heads will only increase. Every mercenary in the sector will hunt you down. Maybe, Ryan conceded, but not today. As Thul and his guards reluctantly disarmed, Kiona stepped forward, her eyes locked on the Krell merchant. My technology was designed to save lives, not control them, she said, her voice steady despite the glow pulsing beneath her skin. Remember that when you dream of Empire, Thul. Some things aren't meant to be owned. The merchant's reptilian eyes burned with hatred, but he remained silent as Cord bound his hands. What now, Captain? Mara asked, keeping her blaster trained on Thul's guards. Ryan glanced at the airlock indicator. Now we leave. Quickly. Station security will be here soon. As they secured their prisoners, Ryan pulled Kiona aside. Are you okay? She nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. I never thought I'd face him again. You did more than face him, Ryan said softly. You stood your ground, reminded him that some spirits can't be broken. Kiona's fingers intertwined with his. I had a good example to follow. The way she looked at him then, with trust, admiration, and something deeper, made Ryan's heart race. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew with absolute certainty that rescuing this untamable woman had been the best decision of his life. The Nomad burst from Helios Station's docking clamps, engines flaring as it accelerated away from the massive structure. Inside the ship, the crew worked with practiced efficiency, each at their station as they prepared for the jump to hyperspace. We've got company, Dex announced, his cybernetic eye whirring as he monitored the sensors. 3 pursuit vessels just launched. Sol must have backup we didn't account for. Ryan leaned over the navigation console. How long until we can jump? Drive needs 3 minutes to charge, Cord rumbled from engineering. Those radiation burns from the nebula didn't fully heal. We don't have 3 minutes, Mara warned from tactical. They're gaining fast. Kiona, who had been quietly observing from beside Ryan, suddenly straightened. There's something wrong with our ship, she said, her voice tight with concern. I can feel it. An irregular vibration in the hull. Ryan trusted her Verdanti senses without question now. Dex, full scan. Look for anything attached to our exterior. The scan results appeared on the main screen, revealing 3 small devices magnetically attached to the Nomad's hull. Tracking beacons, Dex confirmed. Military grade. They're broadcasting our position to the pursuit ships. Can we remove them? Ryan asked. Cord shook his massive head. Not without an EVA, and we don't have time for that. Then we fight, Mara said grimly, powering up the weapon systems. Kiona placed a hand on Ryan's arm. Wait, I have an idea. She moved to an auxiliary console, her fingers flying across the interface. The beacons operate on a standard frequency matrix. If I can access their programming... The crew watched in fascination as Kiona worked, her emerald skin beginning to glow with concentration. The patterns that Ryan now recognized as indicators of her emotional state pulsed with increasing intensity. There, she said after a tense minute, I've reprogrammed the beacons to transmit false coordinates. When we jump, they'll lead those ships in the opposite direction. Ryan smiled with pride. Brilliant. Cord, status on the hyperdrive? 90 seconds to full charge. They're in weapons range, Mara reported. Brace for impact. The first volley from the pursuit ships rocked the Nomad, but its shields held. Ryan ordered evasive maneuvers, buying them precious seconds as Kiona's reprogrammed beacons began transmitting their false data. It's working, Dex confirmed. One of the pursuit ships is breaking off following the false signal. 2 more to go, Ryan said. Mara, return fire. Target their weapon systems only. The Nomad's guns blazed, striking one of the remaining pursuers. The ship veered off, the trailing debris. Hyperdrive ready, Uncord announced. Jump now, Ryan ordered. The stars stretched into lines as the Nomad leapt into hyperspace, leaving the final pursuit ship behind. A collective sigh of relief swept through the bridge. Did we lose them? Taryn asked. Dex checked the sensors. For now, but as long as those beacons are attached to our hull, Thul can potentially track us again once we drop out of hyperspace. Then we make a stop somewhere we can safely remove them, Ryan decided. Plot a course for the Callisto asteroid belt. We have a friend there who owes us a favor. As the crew dispersed to their duties, Ryan found Kiona still at the auxiliary console, her shoulders slumped with exhaustion. The glow beneath her skin had dimmed to a soft shimmer. You saved us, he said quietly, coming to stand beside her. Again. She looked up at him, a tired smile playing at her lips. It seems to be becoming a habit. Ryan helped her to her feet. Come on, you need rest. In his quarters, which had somehow become their quarters over the past few days, Kiona sank onto the edge of the bed. Ryan sat beside her, taking her hands in his. What you did back there? Reprogramming those beacons on the fly. That was incredible. Kiona shrugged modestly. Basic Verdanti engineering. Children learn such things. Remind me never to underestimate Verdanti children, Ryan chuckled. Then more seriously, Thul won't stop coming after us, will he? Not as long as he believes I possess the navigation technology. She hesitated. There's something I haven't told you about it. Ryan waited patiently as she gathered her thoughts. The system isn't just theoretical. I completed it before I was captured. She reached into a hidden pocket in her jumpsuit and withdrew a small data crystal. Everything is here. The algorithms, the interface designs, everything needed to navigate the most dangerous regions of space safely. Ryan stared at the crystal, understanding its value and the danger it represented. All this time you had it with you? I couldn't risk Thul finding it. And then she looked up at him, her ice blue eyes searching his. I wasn't sure I could trust you. And now, the patterns on her skin brightened. Now I know I can. Ryan carefully took the crystal and placed it on the bedside table. Tomorrow we'll figure out what to do with this. Together. He cupped her face gently, his thumb tracing the luminescent patterns on her cheek. Right now, all that matters is that you're safe. That we're safe. Kiona leaned into his touch, her eyes closing briefly. When Thul captured me, I thought my life was over. I never imagined. What? Ryan prompted softly. That being sold at auction would lead me to freedom. Her eyes opened, meeting his with an intensity that took his breath away. That being bought would lead me to belonging? Ryan's heart swelled with emotion. You never belonged to me, Kiona. From that first moment when you bit off Thul's finger, I knew you were untamable. Perhaps, she whispered, leaning closer, I simply needed the right person to not try taming me. Their lips met in a kiss that spoke of all they'd been through together. The danger, the trust, the growing bond that neither had expected but both now cherished. Kiona's skin glowed brighter, illuminating the room with patterns that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Later, as they lay entwined in the quiet aftermath of passion, Ryan traced the fading patterns on her emerald skin. These are beautiful, he murmured, like star maps. In a way, they are, Kiona explained, her voice soft with contentment. They reflect our internal state, our emotions, our connections. Among my people, they're considered the truest form of communication. What are they saying now? She took his hand and placed it over her heart. That I've found my home. 3 months later, the Nomad drifted in the peaceful orbit of a small, uninhabited moon. On the observation deck, the crew gathered to witness something none of them had expected to see. Their captain and the Verdanti woman, who had become an integral part of their team, standing together before Cord, who as the ship's oldest member, had the authority to perform the ceremony. The traditional Verdanti pair bonding ritual had been modified to include human customs, creating something unique, just like their relationship. As Ryan and Kiona exchanged vows, her skin glowed with patterns more intricate and beautiful than any the crew had seen before. "Never thought I'd see the day," Mara whispered to Dex. "Our captain, tamed at last?" Dex's cybernetic eye whirred as he observed the couple. "I wouldn't call it taming," he replied thoughtfully. "More like finding his match." The navigation system that had nearly cost Kiona her freedom had instead become the crew's most valuable asset. With it, the Nomad now specialized in rescue missions in dangerous space, saving those whom others couldn't reach. The bounty on their heads had eventually been lifted when evidence of Thul's illegal activities reached Galactic authorities. Anonymous evidence that had mysteriously appeared in all the right places. As the ceremony concluded, Ryan pulled Kiona into an embrace, whispering words meant only for her. The patterns on her skin responded, pulsing with joy that needed no translation. Some spirits, Ryan had learned, were never meant to be tamed. They were meant to be set free, to soar alongside those who recognize their true value, not as possessions, but as partners. And as the Nomad continued its journey among the stars, its human captain and his Verdanti partner proved that the most valuable things in the universe were never the ones you could buy, but the ones you were willing to fight for.